What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what just came out from the company itself, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is down slightly, 0.79% during the pre-market, but very low volume. So I wouldn't really take that exactly for face value. There was a couple random transactions on the dark pool after hours yesterday though, and so that might give some insight potentially on where it might be going. So for instance, you had one that was 3.49 million, 5.7, and then 1.1 million. And ultimately, when it comes down to the dark pool, it doesn't actually show the bid or the ask. So it's very difficult to tell whether it was a buy or a sell. But what you can do is take these, kind of this timestamps, overlap it with the chart, and it'll give you some insight whether those were buys or sells. But ultimately, if you kind of look at it, it does look as though that they could be buys because a lot of the transactions were being done at 507, well above the price at the time. So essentially, big money was getting into NIO. Real question is why? And so NIO actually did put out news this morning, and that was the date of their earnings. And so that is going to be slated for September the 25th. And in reality, I think that is a good thing. I kind of brought that up in my video yesterday on how it could potentially be the end of August or first week of September. And so I think for them to coincide it with their monthly numbers, their August monthly numbers, which will be put out on September the 1st, it's kind of optimistic, in my opinion, of course, because they could have easily pushed it back, given some room just to as a buffer. But nonetheless, this is pretty good stuff. One thing I do want to bring up though, so in my video yesterday, I kind of talked about their expansion to these various regions. I did a little bit more deeper dive because I saw a million comments, 1,000,001 comments about Singapore, and you are all correct. Very rich country. So my apologies. I guess I kind of mentioned that it was a poor country. So yeah, my apologies on that. I did do a little bit more of a deeper research yesterday, and yeah, it would be perfect for NIO. Like I said though in my video yesterday, NIO obviously has done their DD and is doing this expansion just not for the hell of it. Like there is some strategic benefit to them. So yeah, don't pay attention to me, my ignorance. So my apologies on that. The only other thing that kind of came out was this. So it looks as though Firefly in some areas is being used as a urban management enforcement. So I think that's just a glorified word for just like a mall cop equivalent. But nonetheless, Firefly is being used in multiple kind of formats. I would never have really guessed Firefly was going to be used for that, but I wanted to kind of bring this up because it's kind of unique. So that's kind of the only other speculative thing that has really come out. During the pre-market, shorts aren't doing anything. 12.08% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 186.43 million shares overall being shorted. And so shorts yesterday, I always post this every evening just on a side note. So it looks as though shorts did return about 776,000 shares by the end of the day yesterday. So definitely good to see. Most likely, if big institutions start to really get in on NIO, then you could once again see shorts return a lot. And I think just generally over the last month and a half, they've returned a lot. So that's definitely good to see. Even over the last 3 months, they've returned about 7.06% overall. Options though for today, the bulls are anticipating for it to be above 550. Bears are anticipating for it to be kind of between that 450 and 5. But with today being Wednesday, just kind of take note of this. Might be a little bit premature to start kind of focusing on it, but you do have for the open interest 4,000 at that 4, 18,000 at the 450, 34,000 at that 5, and then 12,000 at the 550. So potentially by Friday, if we're around 550, then best case scenario, you'll have a lot of in the money options expiring, which is always good. And I just wanted to throw this out there. I know I don't really bring this up all too frequently, like outside of the 1 week parameter, but there is at the 350, 189,000 open interest at that September 19th expiry date. That is crazy. So if for whatever reason NIO is able to be holding these gains and let alone above $5, that is where things are going to get very, very heated in a positive way, of course. Right now with at 503 during the pre-market, not really much activity. Like I said, rather low volume. So I think a lot of institutions are waiting for the market to open, but right now it's trading between this R2 and this R1. So if you're day trading or whatever else, just watch for 497 to be a good support level, because if not, then 473 will be the following one. But 497 will be a key pivot to watch for today, and then 512 followed by 537 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. And as I mentioned, especially even looking at what happened yesterday, NIO can go up very fast. So kind of interesting stuff. No new analyst ratings, no articles really coming out. On the actual chart, things are still looking pretty A-okay, still above the ALMA, so shows that it does want to continue to move higher, already above all the key moving averages that generally I like to look at. So the 50, 100, and 200. Stochastic RSI is somewhat neutral in nature. So it's not really overbought, and because of the recent price action, it did break off of the oversold status. So at the end of the day, I do feel fairly optimistic about NIO that it will start to move higher. One thing I do want to bring to your attention though is I always bring up shorts and what they're doing typically during the pre-market. It's been very odd that they haven't really been doing like anything whatsoever. So I feel like they're still trying to play some game. They're trying to figure out what to do with NIO, whether they are going to be starting to cut some risk and return more, or potentially double down. So yeah, we'll kind of wait and see how that does play out. Closer to the earnings date, I will be doing a dedicated video all about some expectations and everything else and potentially what could play out. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. One final thing, as I've mentioned, Moomoo does have a new kind of feature, and that is algorithmic trading. So the only broker that I'm aware of that retail can actually set up algorithmic trading and have it work. So I wanted to do a deep dive, a little bit of a tutorial on that. So I'll be probably posting that out on the Friday. But if you're wanting to sign up in advance, that way you can kind of launch it, take advantage of this promo as well and sign up for Moomoo. Link in the description below and also the comments. But they do have a pretty good promo. Just deposit $100, they give you $50 back. So that's a pretty good return on investment in among itself. So make sure you guys sign up in advance. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.